Okay, good evening, everybody. We got a good crowd here. I think we've got full representation from all the municipalities. As you know, this is one of our two most important meetings of the year where we propose the dues and then in March we accept them. Oh, hold on a second, somebody else is coming in. And we also have a special presentation for you tonight from Katherine Coughlin, who will talk about the Nassau County septic program. But I just want to get take care of some of the administrative matters first before we get started. And the first one is always the approval of the minutes from the November 18th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at them? Does anybody have any questions, comments before we make a motion to accept them? Hearing none, does somebody want to make a motion?
Sure.
Is it Tom? Is
The
there a second?
dog seconded it.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Was that Steve?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right. On our 2020 dues, I'm happy to say that we have received everybody's dues by the end of the year. So we're good. Everybody's good. On the 2021 dues, we, as you know, our intermunicipal agreement requires that we propose the dues in January and then give every member municipality at least 60 days to review those proposed dues. And if within that 60 days, if a municipality wishes to withdraw from the committee, they have the opportunity to do that. If not, then they're bound by the dues for that year. I mean, we've never had anybody withdraw, but that opportunity is always there. So I did take a look at, as I mentioned at the December meeting, took a look at our finances, what our expected income is, what our expected expenditures are up until June, which is when dues typically start coming in. And we're in pretty good shape. We basically have in our S.E.P.T.I.C account, which is where virtually all of our business is used from. We have about $140,000 in the account. We anticipate another $45,840 coming in from the Marcelino reimbursement and from the Soil and Water Conservation District for the winter monitoring, which would bring the total to $185,815.81. In terms of expenses, between now and June, we expect to expend about $80,200. That includes paying the Coalition to Save Hempstead Harbor, the balance for 2020 to 2021 water monitoring, or $500 for web hosting, $30,000 for first claim from Coalition to Save Hempstead Harbor for 2021 to 2022 water monitoring. My salary would be about $22,500, and then office expenses about $1,200. So that would bring our total down to about $105,615.81. But we also have, since we administer the Marcelino grant for the 3 protection committees, we have outstanding payments that we need to make of $125,762.10. And we need to pay those out before we can be reimbursed. So they will be reimbursed, but we need the cash flow in order to do that. So with all that in mind, I think it's safe to say that we can keep the dues at the same level that they have been since 2005. Which would be in terms of it's the County of Nassau dues would be $33,575. The 2 towns would each pay $10,900. City of Glen Cove, 8,150, and each of the villages, 5,445. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the dues at the same level as last year.
Hey, Eric, I have a question. Were all the expenses recurring expenses, or are there any one-time expenses that you expect this year?
They're pretty much recurring. I mean, my salary, the water monitoring, those are the two big. That's the lion's share of what our expenses are, and they've been. My salary hasn't gone up, but the cost for the water monitoring has with different lab works that we need to do and that sort of thing.
Okay, so what was the bottom line? What was the net result?
Total of dues.
Now, if you subtract the expenses from the dues for the year.
Well, it comes to 105,615 before paying out the money that we would need to pay out under the Marcelino grant, which exceeds that. That's 125,000, but then we do get that back.
Okay.
That's a wash, though. I think he's asking, what was our bottom line for the end of the year? Where did we start? How much did we have on hand at the beginning of the year and then at the end of the year?
We have, well, let me go back and look. Hold on a second. All right, so at the beginning of 2020, we had January. We had 132,123, and at the end we had 139,975. So it's pretty much a wash. What comes in, what goes out over the course of the year.
Okay.
Last two questions. Sorry. Yes.
This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. I'd like to make the motion to keep the dues at the same time, the same rate, and move forward.
Well, let's make sure we answer all questions first. So appreciate that, Kevin.
Just real quick, the accounting fees and insurance costs, is all that included in the expenses? Are there any?
No, there are not, because we are not an entity unto ourselves. We are a committee of local governments, so we don't have an outside accountant. So our books are handled by the village of Seacliff. They have an accountant that goes over all of that, and then insurance. We're municipalities are self-insured. I mean, so we're basically insured by our member municipalities.
Okay.
Kevin, you're up.
So Kevin made a motion.
Okay, yeah, I'll make the same motion if any other questions are there. If not, I'd like to make a motion to maintain the dues as is and move forward.
I'll second it.
Who seconded? I didn't
Lewis.
see who seconded.
Lewis.
Lewis.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Again, this is just proposing it. I will send those out to all the municipalities, and then in March 10th, we will officially adopt them if nobody drops out. So thank you very much. The Long Island Sound Futures Fund grant, we did apply for the 2021 to 2022 monitoring program. We asked for the maximum 75,000, and we were granted that on December 7th. We are in the process of signing the agreement. Nothing has changed from what we proposed, so we will be getting that money next year. We did, as you know, as I mentioned before, we administer a grant from Senator Marcelino that's pays for water monitoring for the 3 protection committees, North Shore Protection Committees. Not all of that was spent by the deadline, which was December 31st. So we asked for a 1-year extension, and that has been granted. So we have another year to finish spending. Hempstead Harbor has pretty much spent everything. We have another $7,000 out of our $90,000 share that we have to spend. But the other two protection committees, have the bulk of that. So we'll be administering that for the next year. And then the only other administrative matter is the proposed meeting dates for this year. I did propose them at the last meeting and I heard no objections from anybody. So they are on your agenda. Be January 6th, March 10th, April 14th, June 2nd, September 8th, October 6th, and November 17th. And they're all on, those are all Wednesdays, all at 7 o'clock, which is where we've always met. And until further notice, they will be on Zoom, assuming that the governor allows us to continue to meet by Zoom, because we are subject to the open meetings law, just like any local government. And the current executive order goes, I think it's a January 20th or so. So I'm sure that's going to be extended, as it has a few times in the past. So if not, then we'll be meeting again in person. So.
Wait, Eric, you said, what's the open meetings law? I'm not familiar with that.
New York State has what's called the open meetings law. So every public body has to advertise that they have meetings. They have to, invite the public. Everything has to be out in the open, and they basically it. But when COVID struck, municipalities wanted to meet virtually instead of in person for obvious reasons. So the governor has allowed that.
Okay.
So, all right, so that brings us to our guest speaker. So I'd like to, I'm going to share my screen here so I can show you her presentation. One second here. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Katherine Coughlin.
Mhm.
She works for the North Shore Land Alliance and the Nature Conservancy to help promote the grant program that's being administered in Nassau County. She'll explain a little bit more about that. That's being administered by the Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District. So it's a bunch of different actors working on this, but so we will turn it over to Kat.
Hi, Eric. Again, thank you so much for having me tonight and just giving me the opportunity to talk about how we can address the nitrogen pollution issue in Nassau and Suffolk County by applying innovative, alternative, or innovative advanced nitrogen reducing wastewater technology. And for a little bit of background about myself, again, as Eric said, I was hired by the North Shore Land Alliance, and I also work with the Nature Conservancy, and I am funded by a grant from the Long Island Sound Futures Fund, and that's supporting my work right now to kind of get the ball rolling and get some momentum going in Nassau County to apply these IA technologies. So you can jump to the next slide.
Oops. I don't know, wait a second. Okay.
So as you may or may not know, nitrogen has been plaguing the Long Island Sound for many decades now. Nitrogen has been named the #1 cause of things such as harmful algal blooms, and that includes red tides, brown tides, blue-green algae. It's also known to be responsible for fish kills and really thick mats of invasive seaweed, and as well as the decline of the shellfish industry. It also can cause things such as paralytic shellfish poisoning. So it's definitely something that has been, nitrogen pollution has been known on Long Island for a long time now, and there's many aspects of it that we really need to address. Next slide. This is a report card that was produced by Save the Sound. This is for 2020. It was released a few months ago. And basically, it's assigning letter grades to bays and harbors and narrows on Long Island based on indicators of water quality. And these indicators of water quality include dissolved organic carbon, dissolved oxygen, water clarity, chlorophyll, seaweed, and oxygen saturation. And those can all determine how healthy your water is in your bay. And as you can see on the map, the red, yellow areas are areas that are showing grades of B, C, Ds, and Fs. And those all are all areas that are declining or just kind of staying stable with water quality. And a lot of those are areas along the North Shore of Nassau County. So, and as climate change persists, we can really anticipate worsening conditions as warmer waters will exacerbate these conditions. You can go to the next slide. So historically, we thought that fertilizer and surface runoff were the primary sources of nitrogen pollution on Long Island. However, we now know that that is not the case. The pie charts right here show data that was produced by SUNY Stony Brook in a modeling study, and they were able to definitively pinpoint that the two primary sources of nitrogen pollution on Long Island, specifically along the North Shore of Long Island, were septic systems. So that's definitely something that we really need to address. And it doesn't mean that the work that was done prior, where all the work to address stormwater and surface runoff was ineffective, that really helped to control bacteria levels and also helped reduce nitrogen pollution. But now we really need to focus our efforts on septic systems. And switch to the next slide. This map right here is something that was produced by the North Shore Land Alliance. It's taking the same data from the same modeling study that was done by SUNY Stony Brook. And as you can see, the colored areas are showing watershed boundaries, and each color is associated with nitrogen reduction targets that are required for each watershed to obtain clearer water. And the black dots estimate or are the approximate location of septic systems, and the blue striped areas are where sewered areas already exist. So there wouldn't really be any septic systems. And as you can see, Cold Spring Harbor needs a reduction of 60%, Oyster Bay, 49, Hempstead Harbor, and Manhasset Bay also need significant reductions of nitrogen in order to achieve a clear water quality goal. And as we go forward, we really want to focus in on areas where there are high clusters of septic systems that are close to the water. And the areas that are close to the water are really important because those are the areas where the groundwater is going to be traveling the quickest to surface water, or basically where nitrogen-rich effluent from septic systems is going to be polluting surface waters the fastest. So areas along Cold Spring Harbor and Bayville are areas that are high priority as well. Also, the areas that are closest to the surface water and the bays are going to be the ones that, are more likely to fail because the water table is closer to the surface, and those septic tanks are going to be more submerged in water and more likely to be experiencing failures faster than those that are farther away and higher elevation. Skip to the next slide. And I'm just going to talk a little bit right now about how a conventional septic system works, which are pretty much all the ones in Nassau County, versus the new innovative, advanced, or innovative alternative septic systems. So a traditional septic system works by sewage flows from a house, it goes into the septic tank, and the solids are filtered at the bottom of the septic system. and then liquids flow into a leaching pool. And then that fluids from the leaching pool go directly into groundwater. And the groundwater takes that nitrogen-rich effluent, goes into the surface waters, and then those that nitrogen acts as food or fertilizer for things such as harmful algal blooms and seaweed. And then in late summer and fall, when things such as harmful algal blooms start to die off, the bacteria starts to eat that all up, taking oxygen out of the water and subsequently causing fish kills in the bays, which is why we have that issue as well. And it's really almost remarkable. In some homes, they don't even have a septic tank. They just have a leaching pool, or also known as a cesspool. So there's not even that settling step, and just everything is released into your groundwater. Now, IA systems work really well because they essentially work the same, or they have the same mechanisms as a traditional septic tank, except they add a biological processing step. You can see in that green tank, that's a current model that's out. The tank on the right adds this new biological processing step called denitrification, and that's normally found in nature. It takes nitrate, which is the liquid nitrogen, and converts it into a harmless gas known as N2, or dinitrogen. And N2 gas is really harmless. It makes up 78% of the atmosphere. So it's not a pollutant, and it's great. And these IA tanks are amazing. They take out 70% of nitrogen from the water. And as you could see in that figure I showed before, that would be well above the required nitrogen targets for the North Shore of Long Island. And you can go to the next slide. Now, IA systems are not only good for the environment, they would restore, using them would restore the fishing industry, boating, recreation. They're also really good for the individual homeowner. A traditional septic tank that's made out of steel or concrete tends to last between 10 to 20 years, whereas these IA septic systems are made out of a much more durable fiberglass, and that's going to last on the order of 40 to 50 years. So more than double the lifespan of a traditional septic system. Also, IA septic systems don't require as much maintenance. They only need to be serviced about once or twice a year by your installer. It's really a low maintenance process. They come, you don't even know it's happening. And whereas a traditional septic system, it's going to have a lot more issues. If you have a failing septic system, you might need to get it pumped 4 times a year. And if you're paying $400 every time it gets pumped, that really adds up. IA septic systems are known to increase property value. In a study that was done by CoreLogic on Long Island, they found that in towns similar to that of Long Island and Cape Cod, Rhode Island, neighborhoods that had several IA septic systems increased property value of a home that was worth $500,000 by 13 to 19%. So that's a pretty significant increase on your property value. Go to the next slide. So right now you're probably wondering, how much do these cost? In Suffolk County, the average cost of installation and the tank cost a total of about 20 grand. However, we do believe that that cost is trending a little bit higher than it would normally, because in Suffolk County, they're still in their infancy a little bit, and their tanks that are getting installed are ones that are more likely to be having failures, and that's going to be pushing the cost of the septic systems up a little bit more. So a traditional septic system, if you do have a replacement, would typically cost on the order of $5,000 to $10,000. However, there is funding available for homeowners if they do choose to apply for these septic systems. Homeowners in Nassau County, through the new SEPTIC program, which stands for Septic Environmental Program to Improve Cleanliness, which is in the process of being released by Nassau County in the Soil Water Conservation District, which Eric Swenson is actually involved with. Homeowners can get grants up to $50,000, 50% of the tank, covering up to $10,000 of the septic system replacement. So if you are installing a new IA system and you get a $10,000 grant, then you could essentially be breaking even compared to installing a conventional septic system or paying just a couple $1,000s more. Go to the next slide. To be eligible for a septic grant in Nassau County, you do need to fulfill a few requirements. You must be a single family home. You must be served by a cesspool and not connected to a connected to a sewer line. You may not be like a county or a state employee. You also need to prove a certificate of occupancy and income verification. However, Nassau County Septic Program is going to be creating an online grant application process, which will help definitely speed up the process and make it a little bit easier for homeowners to get this IA septic system installed. Next slide. Now, to also install a septic system, a homeowner will typically have to apply for a building permit through their local municipality. And this is where it's a little bit different from Suffolk County. In Nassau County, homeowners must apply for individual building permits from their respective municipality of their town or village. And your building permit application might vary from town to village. And in these building permit applications, you will most likely be needing a design professional, such as an engineer or an architect, to design your plans. In Nassau County, they will be allowing provisionally approved IA technology that is already being used in Suffolk County. So that'll help the process along. And overall, this process can take a couple of months, just because it can be a little bit of a wait to get an engineer to make certified plans for your design. Next slide. In my role as the Water Quality Improvement Coordinator at the North Shore Land Alliance and the Nature Conservancy, I'm really helping homeowners expedite their permitting and grant application process, and definitely helping them through all steps of the process and really making sure they follow through, because there have been instances of people getting the grant and then backing out halfway through. So we're working on public outreach campaigns. We have a website that's coming online. Over the next couple of months, we're putting together a vendor day where design professionals, building inspectors, mayors, interested community members can come and see these IA septic systems for themselves and get a really good understanding of what they look like and how they work, and just kind of help ease some of the concerns that might come along with this process. So that was my presentation. I'll open it up for questions. And I think also if you have some really specific questions about the septic program as well, I think Eric can answer those too.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, it's not only available to homeowners, it's also available to small businesses,
Right.
provided that you generate no more than 1,000 gallons a day of wastewater.
Yes.
Thank you, Kat. Anybody have questions?
Quick question for you. It's a little bit of a tangent, but on your beginning slide, you had the map of the water quality for the harbors.
Yeah.
Proposed floodgates, which are now, I guess, hopefully dead, that they were going to do by the Throgs Neck Bridge. Would that have affected our water quality at all if they put those floodgates in?
Potentially. I would need to read more on that, but I can follow up on that question for you specifically. Yeah.
Curious. Thank you.
Some people are saying that, well, first of all, the floodgates would only operate, a few times a year at most when there's really bad storms come on. And some people were arguing that they would actually improve water quality in the areas behind it, because we basically, you can see that red area is a failing area, although it's been getting closer to passing over the last few years. But a lot of that water flows actually towards our area. And if you're blocking it, then you know, whatever pollutants are there are not making their way here, at least initially. Then they probably would eventually anyway. So
Yeah, Eric, I've seen arguments on both sides of it, of the coin. That's why I'm just curious, because we have an expert on the phone.
okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, you can, there's definitely a west to east trend of water quality improving as you go further out towards the ocean. And that's primarily because of a flushing effect, and areas that are closer to areas that are more narrow aren't getting as much water circulation, and the nitrogen isn't being flushed out as quickly. So. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm a guest. I'm not a member of the committee, but I like to follow these things. And I've heard you speak another time, I think, to one of the other groups. But
Okay.
you know, one of the things I noticed in your slides, that the municipal sewer systems in the bays in this area are contributing 25% of the total nitrogen load to the base. And, you know, are there any efforts being made currently to get funding from the feds or the state, or to improve the quality of the water being released by, in Manhasset Bay? There are two outflows, one from this town, from Port Washington, and another one from across the way. You know, so that's one question. And along with that, is any effort being made to promote the expansion of municipal sewer systems to get more regions of the shoreline regions treated? Your systems are an excellent start, but it will kind of be a patchwork a deal with new housing coming along, installing these systems where they're not connected to sewer systems. But to really go after this in a big way, I think we need to look at expanding our municipal sewer systems and improving them, and that would have a much more major effect on the quality of our water. I just wonder if there are any comments on that.
Right. Well, oh, Eric, you can go.
I would say most of the sewering that's taken place in Nassau County was a result of mostly federal money back in the 1960s, 1970s, and you know, with state match, which made it like affordable for local sewer districts. That has not happened since then. I mean, there is talk of a you know, large federal infrastructure bill, and I know that Congressman Swazi has you know, been pushing to include wastewater as part of that. So I think it's very expensive. I mean, there's one area in Glen Cove that of a little over 100 homes that is not connected to the sewer, and they have a beach right there that has been closed for 9 years now. And so we were able to get the county to do a sewer feasibility study to hook those homes into the Glen Cove wastewater treatment plant, which is just a couple miles down the road. And the upshot of that study was it was just too costly to do that. So other alternatives are being looked at. It's prohibitively expensive, especially when you're doing a small number of homes and you have to have pump stations and all of that. So obviously on a larger scale, you divide the cost, but you know, we would certainly support that and work towards any effort to bring those funds in to do that, because that really is the ultimate solution. But until then, you know, these, at least in the near future, these innovative and alternative systems would help that situation.
And addressing the sewage treatment plants, I'm not sure what kind of promotion they've been doing to treat it in Hempstead, Manhasset, and Little Neck Bay, but a couple months ago, they did add a tertiary system to the Bay Park Reclamation facility, which is the wastewater treatment plant along the South Shore, and that is going to be taking out a significant portion of nitrogen from the wastewater that's going into the southern part of the water.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I was wondering about the actual numbers, like what is the concentration of nitrate or nitrogen coming from the average traditional cesspool versus, the average of these advanced systems?
A typical advanced system reduces nitrogen concentration by 70%. I'd have to look at some literature to get the specific values of the nitrogen in like milligrams per liter.
Derek, do you have any
I-
recollection?
none off
I've
the top of
seen
my head,
numbers.
but Suffolk County has, done a lot of, testing on the units that have gone in. And so all that data is there. Reclaim our water site for Suffolk County. We can get that to you. It's there's a lot of data on there.
Gonna make me read it all, Eric?
No, I'll get you the information.
I think I remember hearing the numbers and not being that impressed, so it went from 30 down to 50, 15 or something like that. But, I just not
No.
really sure.
Well, under the state grant money basically where Nassau County is getting this money to give the grants, you have to reduce by at least 30%. But Suffolk County's experience is that a lot of these, go much further than that, as much as 70%.
Okay. Yeah, I also believe that the sewer plants have all been required to do tertiary treatment. I think it's, been ongoing for some time, where they've been trying to get them all performing that, adding that treatment. The Bay Park, I'm surprised to hear that, because that thing was devastated by Sandy. And I guess it's been a long process, but it sounds good that they're encouraging that they actually got it online now.
Yeah, they got something like $400 million from the federal government. They've been doing a tremendous amount of work there. I mean, maybe Dan might be able to give some more statistics, but I can tell. And Glen Cove wastewater treatment plant has denitrification. They're one of the first to put it in. And the Nature Conservancy did a similar kind of pie chart, but divided the Hempstead Harbor into the outer harbor and the lower harbor. And on the outer harbor, which is where the sewage treatment plant is, there's virtually almost no nitrogen contributed into those waters.
Yeah, the Bay Park system, we're doing a BNR, biological nutrient removal system, as well as a side stream system, which will greatly reduce the nitrogen loading to Reynolds Channel. But even more importantly, obviously, we're doing the conveyance work, or we will be starting the conveyance work probably within the next few months, where we're going to reroute the discharge from the Bay Park plant that discharges directly into Reynolds Channel. We're going to convey that to the Cedar Creek water reclamation facility, which then discharges 2 miles offshore. So that all that effluent from Bay Park will be transferred to Cedar Creek and then out 2 miles into the ocean outfall.
Dan?
Yes.
Does that require a huge main, or is there some that they existing that they could use?
Well, yeah, along Sunrise Highway, there's an existing conduit that was used for the old New York City reservoir system. So we're going to reline that conduit and use that conduit. Now, to head from Bay Park north to connect to Sunrise Highway, yes, we were going to be adding a new pipe. And then from Sunrise Highway south to Cedar Creek, we're going to be, there will be an additional pipe that then connects to the existing Cedar Creek facility and the existing ocean outfall.
So there's going to be pumping involved?
Yes, there's going to be force mains involved. Yes, the old Long Beach sewer treatment facility is going to be converted to a pump station, essentially, to pump it. Yes.
Oh, thanks for the update.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, this is Kevin from North Hempstead. Cedar Creek isn't doing tertiary treatment anymore, right?
No, we're not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the presentation?
I have a simple one. Is the presentation available will it be available to us, sent to us?
Well, I'm recording this meeting tonight, so it will be on that recording.
Oh, okay.
But I should also point out that about, I guess it was 3 weeks ago, we had our a similar presentation given to local municipal officials.
I attended it. Yeah, I attended it. Yeah.
And that is also available,
Yeah.
you know, for viewing.
I found this actually a very clear, concise presentation and very helpful.
Yeah, feel free to use it. Spread the word.
Yeah, so the program is still, the details are still being worked out. There's a lot of moving parts to this grant program, and one of which is the county actually appropriating the money to the Soil and Water Conservation District to administer it. And that's supposed to happen, I believe, next Monday. And then there's obviously putting together the website, the applications, contracts, you know, between homeowners and, you know, the county and all of that. That's all being worked out, you know, and you'll be hearing more details as we go along.
I have one question, if that's all right.
Sure.
So you mentioned that the system uses this biological processing tank that does the denitrification and turns it into N2 gas. But do you know what's actually in that tank and doing that denitrification?
Yeah, so there's activated bacteria that bacteria is converting the nitrate. Well, first, if there's ammonia, that gets converted into nitrate via nitrification, and then nitrate is eventually converted into N2 gas by the bacteria, the activated bacteria in the tank. And that cone up there, that's like an aeration chamber. So the bacteria is using oxygen to do that conversion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any others?
Great job, Catherine.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. If you want to stay and attend the meeting, you're welcome to. If not, you can go eat dinner or whatever you want to do.
I do need to eat dinner. I haven't eaten yet.
All right.
But
be in touch.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. It was great meeting you all.
Sure.
And my email is in the chat if you have any further questions.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right, getting back to our regular agenda, brings us to water quality matters. So I'd like to ask Carol to give us an update on what's been happening from her end.
Well, starting with the first thing on the agenda, the 2020-2021 program. I think we had a meeting to be able to tell you that the regular season program ended at the end of October. And then November 12th, we started the winter monitoring. That's going on now and will continue through April. Unified Water Study was concluded at the end of October, as was our regular core program. Unified Water Study is a program that the Coalition to Save Hempstead Harbor does apart from the committee. It should be CSHH's FLEPC water monitoring project was concluded. The testing portion also concluded at the end of October. This is also a separate program from the Hempstead Harbor Protection Committee. It's a program run by the coalition with grant money that was awarded from the Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District. We just submitted the final report for that program. And this program was pretty exciting because it was in partnership with a program undertaken by the town of Oyster Bay to do aquaculture projects at 3 sites around the town. And that included Tappan Marina, which was actually signified the first aquaculture program ever for Hempstead Harbor. And we had suggested doing the water monitoring to supplement that program. So, and actually Steve from the town of Oyster Bay was one of the people who is intimately involved with taking care of the seed clams and oysters that were in each of these sites. And we also used Steve's growth charts to incorporate into our final report. So the final report was interesting because because of COVID, there were delays in getting the FLEPCs into the marinas and also the seed clam stock. And because of COVID and the reduction of stock that was anticipated, we didn't really expect to get the discernible differences that we were hoping to see from the clams being in the marina. But the testing that was done was critical in really helping to guide, I think, Steve, you can attest to this, placement of the FLEPCs, because we actually saw differences between the sites in Tappan Marina. And it prompted moving one of the FLEPCs where Steve was tracking the growth charts, and the growth hadn't been going as well as the other 2 FLEPCs. And when they were moved, that particular FLEPC caught right up again with the growth of the other seed clams. So that was a major bonus of the testing program, to be able to use that data in real time to help direct, what could be going on with the FLEPCs, where the better positioning would be. So I don't know if you want to add to that, Steve. It was a pretty exciting project.
Yeah, I think it was great, and that testing really did help us. It was amazing being able to work with that with you, and even just within that marina, seeing those differences and how big of an effect they could have. It was really helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we're hoping that it seems that the town is committed to having the FLEPCs in the 3 sites. Would you say same 3 sites, Steve, for the upcoming season? Is that still what the plan is?
Yes, I don't have exact details on our plans for 2021 yet, but we do intend on continuing the same way that we have.
So that would be great. And then for, let's see, Scudder's Pond weir failure is I'm just going by the list you have on the agenda. And I haven't heard anything more about that, Eric.
No, the village had said at one point that they were going to do a permanent repair, and I keep it on the agenda just in hopes that, Bruce might join us and be able to enlighten us. But, from time to time, it changes levels. And so I just like to keep up with it.
Okay. And same with the development of the pathogen TMDL.
Yeah, I have not heard anything.
Okay. Addressing bacteria in powerhouse drain subwatershed. It's
actually the same with the 9-element plan.
Oh, yeah, that's also the same.
Dan, maybe anything new to report on that?
The 9-element plan, there is, I believe I heard that the agreement between the state DEC and SUNY Stony Brook is slated to be signed shortly. I have a call into Dr. Gobler to get a confirmation as to when that will happen, because without that agreement between the DEC and Dr. Gobler, the 9-element plan really can't move forward because the county is not going to move forward alone because the plan calls for Dr. Gobler to do quite a bit of the technical work on behalf of the county, and we would assist him. So we're kind of waiting. We've been in a holding pattern until that's executed.
Thanks. We're glad to see at least some progress on that.
That's, yeah. Hopeful. I'll try to confirm in the next few days the hopeful fact that the agreement's executed.
Okay.
All right, Carol, back to you.
Yeah, moving on to the powerhouse drain subwatershed, which is actually the focus of the winter monitoring. And we have been testing there for many years, so we know that there's an established pattern of what we're finding with bacteria loading to the harbor, and essentially that when there's a low tide and we're collecting direct samples from the pipe that's draining out to the harbor, the numbers are much higher generally. And when it's a mixed sample, meaning that the tide is higher and rises above the outfall, then, and you're getting a mix of harbor water along with what is being discharged, the numbers are generally lower. We did some extra sampling. We had met Eric and representatives of FABCO and Coalition had met to see whether there is possibly something that could be done in addition to dealing with storm drains upland of the outfall, to see where there is a potential end of pipe solution, which generally is not the best way to go, but because of the amount of loading to the harbor from this one pipe, that it looked like this might be something useful to supplement whatever still has to happen along Glenwood Road, both for the feeder roads and then for Glenwood Road itself. The town started to change storm drains for the smaller feeder roads. 37 of those were changed with FABCO filters that reduce both nitrogen and bacteria. We thought we might be seeing something of a difference, but this was all happening also during COVID. And as it turned out, there really wasn't anything that we could trace making a difference to the storm drains. But when we had gotten the information on how many storm drains are in the area, so about 270, I always get that, it's in that area, the 37 storm drains really aren't yet making a difference for the amount of flow down that hill and out to the harbor. So we did some extra testing with FABCO to see whether their filters would really reduce nitrogen and bacteria by the amounts that they had suggested they would. And then we had FABCO test the samples for the bacteria amounts before using the filtration media. And then we also had the samples tested by Nassau County Department of Health. And the numbers didn't really jibe, right on point. Sometimes there will always be some variation. Bacteria is tricky. You could pick up samples within the same area within a few minutes and get different results. But we were wondering what was going on with these. And bottom line is that it looks like FABCO is willing to do another test just to see, what the results of the next test would be, and also running those samples through the media, whether they're getting consistent results. Even if they're not quite what they would do with the storm drains, if it's a significant reduction from what we're seeing, it might be something to look at in the future in terms of some major retro fit of that storm pipe. Did you want to add to that, Eric?
Yeah, no, I think the FABCO's been very cooperative with us, and I think that we really need to take a look at this filters, but we're also looking at the possibility of maybe putting some sort of end of pipe filtration device on there. So instead of having to put 200 or so, storm drain filters on all the storm drains, it may make a lot more sense to put something at the end of the pipe. Now that's both the roads that contribute to that are county roads. So we would obviously have to talk to the county about that. I mean, the town roads where the residents live, most of the residents live, feed into those county roads. So it's a combination storm drain issue, but hopefully one day we can get a good handle on it. Because right now, this is our most problematic portion of the harbor. Definitely.
So hopefully we'll hear back soon, and the testing could be as early as within the next few weeks, additional testing. And then the bacteria issues in Glen Cove Creek. I know that Dan had done testing right at the end of our testing season with Dan, and we never really received the results, but you must have them. And
I requested them last week because I put in a complaint to the company that we have not received the video surveillance yet, because the pipe was TV'd from one end to the other. And as of last week, I still didn't receive the video surveillance. So I put in a request that they need to send me that surveillance video.
okay, do you think something happened to it?
I'm not sure. I know they're not going to get paid until I see it, so they'll get it to me. I think maybe they just, I'm not sure. I requested it last week because I didn't hear anything, and they said they were going to look at it with their subcontractor. So I can follow up as early as tomorrow to see if there's been any movement on that.
Because I think that was done the first week of November, right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, it was done that week. Yes. So.
Okay. So I guess that covers the water monitoring reports.
Okay, thank you. Which then brings us to the organizations. Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District. Not too much to report. The district is continuing to work and monitor the 12 grants that they gave, including to the Coalition of Safe Hempstead Harbor for the S.E.P.T.I.C monitoring, and to us for the winter monitoring. The district hopes to be able to offer additional grants next year. We're waiting to see what the allocation is from the state. That's basically where those funds come from. In terms of Friends of Cedarmere, Tom, you want to give an update?
Yeah, we've been playing around with our rehabbed, restored greenhouse to see if we can get it to make it through the winter. I put plastic over it, which will come off, in the spring. And I have a small heater in there. I don't know. I don't think solar heaters are going to work because we don't get enough sun in the winter, although they seem to be something that are available. But in any case, so we'll be getting the Cornell people to start their seedlings there in the spring. So it's nice to get the old greenhouse, which is like 120 years old, working again. Not just, restored, but actually doing something. Then we got a whole bunch of, all of our grants have come through, and we'll be working on the water wheel. I would be optimistic to say that we would get it done by the next fall, but it is possible. And then we hope to use it to students and so forth, to show them what hydropower is, and the history of mills on Long Island. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, we're also, Friends of Cedarmere is also working on a virtual tour video by a professional that would basically allow you to go online and go in through all the rooms in the house that are publicly available, and see a bird's eye view of the property and go around the property. It's going to be pretty interesting once it's finished.
I had a call from the Gardner Foundation. And they want to take that a step further, and you would walk into the room and have a conversation with, I don't know, the figure in the painting on the wall. I think her board is a little reluctant, but it wouldn't just be for us. You know, I don't even think we'd be the first one, but her idea would be to get all the museums on Long Island interacting through this video program, and then the other thing is we would charge something for the video, so it would be a moneymaker, because we're all kind of challenged, you know, getting enough visitors in, getting funding. It's been a really tough in recent years, which is why these friends of groups exist now, and they're getting more recognition, and the counties used to resent them, but now they, you know, we're like partners.
All right, thank you, Tom. Any municipal updates? Anybody would like to start? I know it's kind of a slow time of year, but
Nothing going on in Roslyn Village. Nothing exciting.
Eric, I'll go.
okay.
So Carol will be very happy to hear that Ann spoke to the barge owner yesterday, and he's waiting on some equipment for his boats so he can set them up to start to dismantle the barge.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
yeah, we don't have an exact date, but it sounds like it's very soon.
Great.
Oh, and also the East Island project, that's basically we're going to rebid it. A lot of the bids that came in were way too high, so we're going to rebid it. And that's basically it.
Okay. How about Seacliff? Tom, you know, anything to report?
Well, they think they're finally, well, Seacliff is where they're running those pipes through from the development in, that's in North Hempstead, right? Down by the former power plant.
Right.
You know anything about that, Kevin?
Are you talking about the Glen Harbor Partners site?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that next that's near the Swan Club.
Yeah. No, I haven't checked with the building department on anything on that.
They have that whole roadway all along the shore just torn to pieces. And the
Is
lane
that where
shift-
they're driving? Is that where they're going up with the sewer? Seacliff?
Yeah, but they seem to be making progress, getting there. All the equipment is getting closer and closer to the actual development. And then I assume the plan is to repave that road, which is just, you know, it's a shambles.
Yeah, I guess the assumption if they're driving pipe underneath it that they're gonna have to repair it. I don't understand the question.
No, I was just wondering if you knew what anything about it. And, you know, I just drive by there and I see where they're working, but you know.
It seems like they're just running the sewer line.
Yeah. I'm wondering when they're going to finish that, but no matter.
All right. Adam, how about Roslyn Harbor?
No updates, no.
Okay. We heard from Ian. How about Flower Hill? Who wants to take that?
I guess I think Randall left. Yeah, a couple points, minor. Last month, the village board passed the resolution to become a climate smart community. So we took the pledge. So we're looking to do projects. Certainly anything water related is top of mind as well, which also leads to, well, the septic tank being one interesting program that's out there. I also heard something about Nassau County promoting a reimbursement program for digital smart sprinkler systems. I don't know much about it, but I didn't know if anyone had any word on that or experience with that. And also, I also found out recently that there's a state DEC Green Innovation Grant Program that is going to be kicked off, I guess, about now, and grants applications due in February.
You're talking about fire sprinklers or lawn sprinklers, guys?
Lawn sprinklers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about that. It certainly is interesting.
That would save a lot of water because it controls, shuts them down when the weather is rainy. I mean, I hear they actually do work very well.
Some of the local water companies have done it. Like I think Port Washington
Yes,
had a subsidy.
yes, they do
Oh, yeah.
subsidize that in Port Washington. I installed one actually, not for the subsidy, but just to see how it would work. And it's very convenient. You can operate it from your cell phone. That's a good thing. It's not so good about knowing whether it should not water or should water. But there it is. It's very easy to program from your iPhone. I have 18 zones on our property, but we're actually not using town water. We're using a well, so it really doesn't save municipal water.
Is the problem that there are too many differences between, what the forecast and the weather station says and what you actually got at your house? Is that what's?
No, it uses a weather station actually in the middle of the peninsula here, not too
Right,
far
but
away.
but
So
maybe you don't get the same
yeah,
rainfall as they do. Is that what happens?
that could be. I mean, we're right on the shore, so we get a lot of wind and different climate from inland. Yeah.
I see.
And
But-
does it, I mean, we have a policy of, odd and even day. Does it take into that account?
Yes, yeah, certainly. Certainly you can program it for odd days, even days, wet days. It will not water the lawn and that sort of thing.
How much do those units cost without the grant?
Yeah, I bought a large one that handled like 20 zones or something, and that I believe was $500 or something like that. I actually have the one I deinstalled is still valid and works. If anyone wants a free watering system that's not smart, I have one.
What is it? Just the box that?
Well, what's the whole timer and all that with all the zones and so on and so forth. It's just not connected to the internet and it doesn't know about the weather. It does know about a rainy day. And most of the new systems that are quote unquote not smart do have a water sensor that you install under your eave in the house, and that will prevent it from turning the watering system on when it's wet. So I don't know. It could help. I don't think it's going to be a major. I think people need to be smart enough to comply with the odd and even days and try to do something with their landscaping that perhaps doesn't require so much water or fertilizer.
Right.
Eric?
Yes.
What, didn't you send an email about daylighting of a stream in the Flower Hill Park? Was that what was that all about, Eric?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a blue sky. I mean, we're looking to do some improvements in the village, and yeah, that was one thought. There is a current sewage line, basically stormwater sewage line running underneath the park, and I don't even know for how long, how many years, but yeah. There was some thought. I don't know how serious we'll take it, but yeah, I mean, we're looking into it.
I looked at an old map, one of those old atlases to see if there was a stream, and they didn't have anything drawn on the map. I don't know if that's definitive, but.
Now, I put them in touch with an engineer I know that took a quick look at it and thought it'd be very expensive to do.
Yeah. I met with David. He was good. He actually became a little more enthusiastic once, but yeah, I realize it's a pretty big project. So anyway, what we're going to look into, it's basically very much upstream. It is open to the, you know, to the sky, so we could focus on that end, and then just kind of somehow we can, there are other ideas that we're talking about improving the park that we can somehow maybe conjure up the idea that underneath you is you know, what was originally a stream. And actually, if you do look on it, it all goes sort of this it's basically a drainage from the sloping land along Stonytown Road, and it eventually leads to Leeds Pond. So
there actually is a section with a stream that runs all the time?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But a lot of it's been buried over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There and everywhere else.
Right.
Kevin, how about North Hempstead?
Yeah, sure. I guess the Roslyn Pond update. The dredging is done. The drying is complete. There's some last trucks going off site today and tomorrow. The treatment wetland was dug and riprap put around it. And for the most part, we're done for the season until next year, besides cleanup to do additional plantings.
Okay.
Kevin, where was most of the funding, or what was the balance, the percentage of who paid what on that job?
I can't give you percentages because the dollar amount's large and it doesn't break down by percentages.
Well,
but I will tell you the funding agency, what?
You know, whatever way you please, how it broke down as to who's the sources and so on.
The sources were DOS, DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, EPA, and FEMA.
Wow.
Those are the grants I wrote.
Somehow or other, Delia DeRigi-Witten got the idea that we were going to dredge Cedarmere. And that we got a grant for that. I can't imagine where that came from. I'm, you know, trying to correct that miscommunication.
Yeah, I don't have any
One
idea.
of your grants, that's what I was thinking, you know.
No, we have no grants to deal with Cedarmere.
No, you misunderstand. I maybe a grant that was given to your project, she somehow, you know, decided that was granted to Cedarmere, you know. What I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think, Kevin, you didn't get money from the county for that project, right?
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, okay,
But it's
Maybe
on a
that's
scale. It was on a scale of 1.2 million.
right.
That's what you got from Nassau County?
Yeah, about. I believe I don't have my numbers in front of me, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's a big grant, yeah. Well, for the record, if you see anything from Delia that says we're dredging that pond, it's not true. We're supposed to be doing a reporter's coming tomorrow from Newsday to see what we're doing with the mill project. And I think we'll get her to make some kind of correction, because she came to us because she saw Delia's press release.
That's how things get out of hand, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
We
I
heard
think
it was
every
good.
story that I have been personally involved with in my past experiences, there's always something like that in there. Like, you know, it wasn't like that. How did that get in the paper?
You remember that when you read the rest of the paper, right?
Yeah, right.
Kevin, I have a question for you. I thought I had seen something in the agenda for the town of North Hempstead that said that the sunken boat would be removed by Custom Marine. I think that was announced in November. This is the one in Mott's Cove. Do you know anything about that?
No, you sort of broke up in the middle of it, but I think you said something about the removal of a barge in Mott's Cove.
Removal of the sunken boat in Mott's Cove by Custom Marine.
I haven't heard anything to that effect.
Okay.
How about anything else, Kevin, on North Hempstead?
No, I think that's all I have.
Okay. How about Sands Point, Lou?
We got nothing over the break.
Okay. All right, I think that covers the municipalities. Does anybody have any other business?
I was just going to mention Town Oyster Bay in December.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Town of Oyster Bay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
We participated in the SOAR program, which is supporting oyster aquaculture and restoration. It was a part of a larger program, which was over 7 states, and it was run through the Nature Conservancy and Pew Charitable Trust. And we were able to receive from them. They purchased from local shellfish growers. They purchased product and they gave it for restoration purposes. So we were able to get 50,000 adult fertile resilient oysters and put them into our one of the spawner sanctuaries. So since they can filter about 50 gallons of water a day, putting in 50,000 adults is about 2.5 million gallons per day. And it will also improve future recruitment and expansion of shellfish populations.
That was a great project. Basically the baymen were able to, had harvested oysters, but because of COVID and restaurants being, closed down and reduced capacity, restaurants weren't, able to sell them. So rather than, just throwing them away, they bought them and put them back in the water.
Those oysters lucked out.
Yeah.
Could have been Oysters Rockefeller.
They were good size. They're what, 2 or 3 inches or so?
Yeah, most of them were about 3 to 4 inches,
Oh, okay.
averaging 3.5.
All right. All right. Anybody have any other business?
Yeah, Eric, this is Kevin from North Hempstead. I just wanted to follow up on the letter you wrote to the DEC in regards to the stealing of shellfish from the beds, the harvesting of shellfish illegally.
Yeah, I haven't heard back from them. Have you heard?
No, but I didn't contact them.
Right. I will follow up.
Okay, so there's no signs, nothing that we got out of that?
I sent a letter and never heard back.
Okay, thank you for following up then.
I'll follow up tomorrow. Okay. If nothing else, then we'll see you in March, and thank you all for attending.
Eric,
Yeah.
are you coming to the
Thanks,
meet the
Eric.
reporter tomorrow?
What time is that?
11.
I can be there.
Well, it's it's strictly if you want.
Yeah, no, I'll see you there.
Okay.
Great. All right, thank you, everybody.
You
Come
as
on.
spring.
All right. Be safe.
night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.
Oh, hi, is this Bruce?